29,791 pets, which is at 17,000 dogs on the slide and 12,000 cats in Cheyenne, and we multiply that by the $12,357. That works out to a $368 million impact in economic activity. Or if we assume a lifespan of 15 years, that's $24.5 million per year. However, you don't have to take my word for it. Next slide, please. Austin commissioned a study to look at the impacts of their no-kill legislation on the economy. The study was completed by the University of Denver in 2017. On the slide before you are a few of the highlights from the study. Over a 7-year period, the total positive impact was $157 million. That includes $49.3 million in veterinary and pet care services, $25.3 million in pet retail services, and $72.3 million in brand equity for the city of Austin. That brand equity resulted in Google relocating to Austin. To quote, "It is attractive to a young, vibrant, pet-loving workforce." During that same study period, Travis County, where Austin is located, grew by 17.1%, resulting in an additional $4.9 billion in spending in the local economy. This case study reinforces the impact that being pet-friendly can have on our local economy. Austin, next slide, please. Austin isn't the only city that sees the value in being pet-friendly. In Franklin, Tennessee, they conducted a Pets Welcome pilot program. Before you are the results. 79% of residents surveyed valued pets being welcome in businesses. 65% said they help build social connections, and 49% said they were more likely to visit a business that's pet-friendly. They also surveyed business owners. Of note, 48% said more pet-friendly policies would increase pedestrian traffic to the downtown area, and 56% strongly agreed that pet-friendly businesses are good for the community. Next slide. Being pet-friendly doesn't just impact local consumption. It also helps attract tourists. In fact, 74% of pet parents between the ages of 18 and 34 want to bring their pet along on future trips, and 47% would rather cancel a vacation than leave their pet behind. According to Hotel Champ, bookings for pet travel have increased by more than a third compared to pre-pandemic. Next slide, please. Being pet-friendly means having pet-inclusive housing available. Contrary to popular opinion, being pet-inclusive actually makes financial sense. The Pet-Inclusive Housing Initiative study found that the average cost to repair damages caused by pets was $210, which is typically covered by the pet deposit. A national study conducted by the Foundation for Interdisciplinary Research and Education promoting animal welfare found that pet-friendly policies lead to more qualified applicants, higher occupancy rates, and a happier community. Of note, 83% of owner-operators reported that vacancies are filled faster, and 79% reported that they are easier to fill. Furthermore, tenants with pets stay 21% longer than their non-pet-friendly counterparts, reducing the number of vacancies and correspondingly all of the advertising costs, cleaning costs, and all those other costs associated with turning a unit. Next slide, please. Finally, pet-friendly workplaces make financial sense. Live Career studied people's perceptions of pets in the workplace. They found that 94% of people were supportive of pets in the workplace. Furthermore, 52% of respondents reported that pet-friendly benefits and policies were important, and 49% said that a pet-friendly work environment could convince them to take a job. If you're struggling to fill vacant positions, this could be the perfect opportunity to harness out-of-the-box thinking to attract new workers. Next slide. The list of cities who have embraced programs like this and have seen economic and social conditions improve as a result continues to grow, including Asheville, North Carolina, San Antonio, Texas, and Kansas City, Missouri. Together, we can move the economic needle and put Cheyenne on the map as a pet-friendly community. Join the Cheyenne Animal Shelter, as well as our early supporters, including Visit Cheyenne and the Suzanne Cork Insurance Agency, by becoming a business partner. On your table is our Business Partnership Program brochure. It outlines the different initiatives and what you as a business will receive when you sign up. Please look through it and register today as a business partner by visiting our website at the address on the slide or by contacting me. Thank you for your time today, and we look forward to working with you.
All right, thank you very much, Amber, for that very enlightening report. We also like to extend a special thank you to our other sponsors. As a gold sponsor, we have Little America Hotel and Resort, and bronze sponsor, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Wyoming. Thank you. Now we would like to welcome Vicki Pyle, doTERRA Wellness Advocate and a member of our Red Carpet Committee, up to announce our new members for the Chamber.
Hello. Is anyone wondering about these red outfits in the crowd? I'm like dressed for the occasion today. We're at events and things like that. We are the welcoming crew. We make connections, we host events, and we spread good vibes. We call ourselves the Red Carpet Committee. So if you're interested in joining our group, our crew, feel free to talk to any of the staff of the chamber or any of us in red. And we'd love to have you join our networking fun that we have. My name is Vicki Pyle. I am a chamber ambassador. Today I am announcing your new member partners. So we will start out with all of this is small print, so I have to be able to see. First, we have up the Chugwater Chili. I'd like to introduce Karen Giudice. Founded in 1986 by local families, Chugwater Chili Corporation, now owned by Karen, has evolved from a Wyoming chili recipe into a flavor-packed sensation. The headquarters at 210 First Street, Chugwater, Wyoming, started in a bunkhouse. From award-winning chili blends to spicy seasonings, including a steak rub, red pepper jelly, beef sticks, and more, Chugwater Chili is your go-to for fun flavors. Swing by for a free taste and a cheerful hello. Next, we have Innovative Property Services. Let's welcome owners Marlene Harvey and Jason Harvey. Thriving real estate experts tackling property challenges head on. Innovative Property Services buys homes to crush debt and unveil an electrifying rent-to-own and lease option program, creating dynamic partnerships with future homeowners. Welcome. Next, we have Take 5. We've got manager Angie Mitchell and assistant manager Spencer Miller. Looking for a fast oil change? Help maintain your car's best performance by stopping in at a local Take 5 for a 10-minute oil change today. They're located at 2628 Delrange Boulevard between Windmill and Ridge Road, and they offer a 25% military discount. Next, we have 160 Driving Academy. I'd like to welcome Business Development Specialist Tyree Beard. Rev up your career at 160 Driving Academy, a premier truck driving school nationwide. Yes, explore locations across the U.S. Ready for a thrilling new career? Enlist in classes today in just 4 weeks. Grab your CDL and hit the road to a lucrative truck driving journey. And last, we have First Steps Pediatric Dentistry. I'd like to welcome Dr. Kelly Binding. First Steps, lasting smiles. Your journey begins with First Steps Pediatric Dentistry. Dr. Kelly Binding and Dr. Cal Bullock make every effort to prepare your child for a lifetime of healthy smiles. Their office offers preventive care and sedation dentistry, along with accommodations for patients with special needs and emergencies. Welcome, everyone. Thank you. Is there one more? Hold on. Oh, okay, great. All right, we do have one more, sorry. So we have Edgewood Senior Living. I'd like to introduce Kelsey Salisbury and Daisha Hunter. Did I say that right? Here to serve you, Edgewood has two beautiful assisted living communities nestled in Cheyenne. When it comes to residents and team members, they are honored to be trusted with the care of your loved ones. Edgewood believes that golden years should be filled with warm meals you didn't cook, friends you can visit without braving the snow, and smiling faces ready to assist with daily routines. Creating a safe environment for residents needing memory care and their families needing peace of mind. Edgewood does their best to keep you out of the wind by offering medical providers, therapy, and fun activities in-house. When you are needing fresh air, they have transportation too. Come experience the warmth for yourself and take a tour today at either one of the Edgewood communities located off College Drive.
Good afternoon, everyone. So good to see everybody here today. It might be a good weekend for Chugwater Chili, right? It's been beautiful all week, but we're getting there. And I wanted to tell my staff, no senior jokes to me after you heard about Edgewood Senior Living. I can see in your eyes, but I'm not quite there yet. So let's hold off on that. I would like to do something just a bit different today. If you'd indulge me, we someone very close to the chamber, Bobby Barrasso, passed away last week. She was a big supporter of our organization. You didn't see her often, but we had interactions with her behind the scenes. And last year we started the Bobby Barrasso Leadership Fund in our foundation, really to send anyone across the state of Wyoming who is interested in advancing themselves through Leadership Wyoming or a local leadership program in her honor. So if you would just pause with me for a moment, have a moment of silence for Bobby and all her family, I'd appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate that. So I thought I saw, yep, he's sitting right in front of me. He saw Paul Fornstrom back there. It's pretty good news about all the dogs, right? You can buy your dog food if you forgot it, just right down the road here at their store. So that'll keep you out of trouble with your wife. I do that often, forget where it's at and forget to buy the dog food, and the dog is more important than me in my house. Sounds like some of you are in the same shape. Glad I have friends out there. So we're getting ready for the Wyoming legislature. So please watch your emails. There's a lot to look out for in the legislature this year. When I left the office just a minute ago, I counted 17 bills to reduce residential property tax. Some of those would put some undue harm to our cities, our schools. We need to be careful of that and watch what's going on. I don't think any of us want to pay taxes, right? If you do, would you raise your hand? We want to come and have a conversation. Nobody raised their hand. But we do need to have a balanced, appropriate tax structure, and we don't want the savings for residents to be put over on our business community around Laramie County and around the state. So we'll be watching that for you. There's going to be a couple bills on adversarial ownership of property, which the chamber's been working on for a while to make sure that those who wish to do us harm are not able to buy properties around Warren Air Force Base, for example, around guard facilities around this state. It's important that we protect our men and women in uniform and our national assets as far as the military go, and perhaps other infrastructure projects as well. We want the lights to come on every day, but there are people in this world who would like to make that not happen for us. So we'll keep up on that and we'll report to you. We'll be sending out a weekly email. The session starts on the 12th. So keep up with that and we'll let you know what's happened. There's some pretty important healthcare stuff in there too. We'll see what actually gets dropped, but you need to pay attention to it and watch what happens. One of the things that you've seen in the paper lately is a lot of talk about our new missile system. And from the chamber, we want you to know we just met with one of our national delegation, federal delegation members yesterday. The missile system is in good shape. It's going through the Nunn-McCurdy review. And it's a good thing to go through that review, right? It keeps things in check. It makes things that are important be kept in the process and other things slide to the side. But the fact is, this is a necessity for our federal defense. And we want to make sure that we do our best to educate people, to let them know how much an important part of our nation's defense and our nation's future that our missile system plays. So if anything pops up, we'll be sure to keep you informed. It's going to go through a review. There'll be a lot about it in the paper, but right now we're in good shape, and we hope to keep it that way as we move into the future. February 16th will be the MAC lunch. And the featured speaker for that is Colonel Johnny Galbert. If you guys haven't met Colonel Galbert, he and his whole family are just a joy to have in Cheyenne. He's just a gentleman and a scholar, and we enjoy his being here very much. And he's going to speak to us on the 16th. Well, what are you laughing about, man? He's just a super good guy. So if you get a chance, get to meet him. Be a good chance to hear about what he envisions for the airmen and women at Warren Air Force Base and about what the future looks like for them. So put that on your calendar and make plans to attend that. Last thing I want to share with you, something I'm kind of proud of. So last year, and it's appropriate we have the DEA here for this. If you guys aren't aware, kind of retail crime and crime on small business has really been on the uptick across the U.S. It's been a priority of the U.S. Chamber, and we've worked with them on a number of issues. Last year, we worked a bill through the legislature that said after you get caught stealing 5 times, on the 5th time, they can charge you with a felony. So what people would do, and it's a heart-wrenching story. A lady, not from Cheyenne, but she ran a meat market in the state, and they come into her meat market and steal $900 worth of goods or $950 worth of goods. So they wouldn't have a felony or whatever that threshold is, right? And they did that over and over and over and over again. I think by the time we catch you 4 times, it's time we do something different, because by the 5th time, my grandmother I would not be able to sit down for a year, right? And so we were able to get that bill through U.S. Chamber, and we just happened to pull their news one day, and on that, it recognized Wyoming and our chamber for working on one of the top 10 efforts on this in the past year. So we are deeply grateful for that. But I will tell you, we've got more work to do. Right? And you're going to hear about that today as we work as business communities around this nation to make sure that our businesses are protected and we keep folks in their community from doing them harm. So we'll keep you updated with that. And please ask Sylvia a lot of questions. She doesn't want you to ask. Maybe she does. Ask a bunch of questions, but ask hard questions. She's a smart lady. She can handle them, I know. All right. So our free lunch today. Kenya's standing the closest, so we'll blame it on her today. Tom Bass, I think you win a lot. Do you know I win a lot? I think we're gonna audit the pot and see how many times Tom put his card in. But if you'll see my staff, free lunch, Tom. This is a pretty good haul today. It's $189, but we're not gambling, DA. This is not. It's there you go. Who said that? So thank you, Dr. Aldrich. It's a skill game. That's correct. The number is 305-8251. Kathy Cathcart. So Kathy's there you go. But Kathy is a past chairman of this organization, so she had to put up with me. It's like God looking out for her for repayment. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you have a great weekend. And this time I'd like to call Tanya Keller, your chairman of the Greater Cheyenne Chamber of Commerce, to the stage to introduce our speaker for today.
Thank you, Dale. All right, now it is our absolute pleasure to welcome a true Cheyenne luminary to today's Chamber Luncheon. If you don't believe me, ask those who have competed in the annual Cranium Cup, and they will tell you that she has sharp wit and a thinking mind. Our district attorney, Sylvia Hackle, isn't just a legal powerhouse. She's a true Cheyenne business advocate. We are truly honored to have our district attorney speak to us today about how she is dealing with crime in our community and what we can do to help her achieve this and make Cheyenne and the region a better place to live. Please joining me in welcoming Sylvia Hackle to the podium. Thank you.
The technical part of this program. I do that. Okay. All right. Don't be too encouraging. Thank you for inviting me here. Oh, I forgot. Where is my folder? There it is. I'm a little overwhelmed. Now I'm a luminary. And I feel like I should perhaps be brighter than I am. But it is truly an honor to address the chamber in my hometown. I'm not a Cheyenne native. I could not convince my parents to move here before I turned 4, but I tried hard and I got here when I was 4. And we in fact moved to Cheyenne the day of the Yellowstone earthquake in 1959. And all of our family in Indiana were convinced we were dead because, you know, they didn't realize how far away Yellowstone is. Back then you didn't have cell phones and it was hard to call people. But it is an honor to address the chamber in the place that I grew up and in the place to which I chose to return after I graduated from law school. But I won't tell you how many years ago that was. Though if I moved here in 1959, you can kind of guess. I would like to introduce somebody that I brought with me and the person who is the real heart, soul, and brain of the DA's office, Bill Edelman. He is you can at least wave. Yeah, I don't think he wants to be recognized. I always embarrass him when I introduce him, but the fact is you can talk to the one who's in charge or the one who knows what's going on. And so that would be Bill. Okay, so I point which end of the clicker? You can tell I don't do technology particularly well. Okay. So I have to congratulate the chamber on having a superb publicist. I read this in the paper and I thought that is very well written and I would like to steal that person for the next time I need some publications. And then I read it a second time and I went, oh, wait, I'm talking about vision, strategy, aspirations. And I kind of gulped. And then I read a little further and you get to ask burning questions. So if we get out of here on time without a conflagration in the whole room, I will be a happy camper. So I really am going to talk about those things, and I do welcome your questions. If something comes to mind that you just can't wait another second to ask, feel free to raise your hand, but I hope there will be plenty of time at the end for questions. So here's the official stuff, because one always has to have official stuff, right? And this is the vision, strategy, and aspirations as set forth in the state budget
to effectively and efficiently prosecute crime in Laramie County, consistent treatment of juveniles, and also to provide services to victims of crime. Obviously, there's a whole lot that goes into those three. Also, just so that you know, the budget for my office is about $6.5 million. That's the budget that's just been presented to the Joint Appropriations Committee, and that will go into the budget bill for the legislature. And that's for a 2-year period of time. 92% of that budget is for personnel, because we don't provide widgets, we don't build anything except for our victim compensation, and most of that money comes from the state. We don't give benefits to anyone, so it's personnel. You can understand how if there's a budget cut, then that's really tough. Because what do we cut? We can't turn the lights off. We can't not have our computers. And so the only thing left is personnel. So I really hope we don't have any budget cuts this year. So this is the day-to-day reality of being in the DA's office. First of all, I think we should all get better bifocals or bigger slides, one of the two. When I took office, my first goal, and I also have a master's in public administration, and the reason I got that degree, which I got after I graduated from law school, was that there's nothing inherent in law school, and this is with all due respect to my colleagues in the bar, that teaches us how to run offices, be they private practices or government offices. So I got a master's degree in public administration. So at least I could say I had the tools about budgeting, personnel, and all that sort of stuff. And it's proven invaluable to me. And so I knew the office simply needed to run better. And better is kind of a vague term, but I knew there were changes that need to be made. We needed to return to our authorized staffing levels because it was way, way below what the legislature had authorized. And in state government, if you don't fill positions within a certain amount of time, you lose them. And we had lost some. So we needed to get those positions filled. I needed to reestablish good working relationships with our partners, like the police department, the chief is here with us, the sheriff's department, the courts, the public, Department of Family Services, Safe House, and you, the members of the public. I needed you to know that you can pick up the phone and you can call my office. You may not be able to talk to me right away, or you may end up talking with another staff member. And yes, you may not get the answer that you want, but I do want you to feel that you can communicate with us. And I left my cards. I'm not sure where the chamber decided to leave them, but I did leave my cards here. So you are welcome to call. I will at this juncture point out, though, that we're not the place to which you report a crime. Because, well, seriously, because people call up and say, my neighbor tore my fence down. Well, I'm really sorry about that. Call Chief Francisco. I mean, seriously, we don't have a reporting mechanism, and we don't have a certified peace officer on staff. We're not authorized one. So we need you to go to law enforcement, and then they bring us the case, and then we make prosecutorial decisions. People get confused about that, and I understand that. We also needed to kind of restore the integrity of the office and to make it a place to build a career. Now, I think the individual members of our office have always been wonderful, but there might have been a little negative publicity about the office as a whole a couple years ago. And so that sloughed off on the tenor of the office. And it's important for you to have faith in your DA's office, because we're your office. Okay, here we go. Okay, I know this is a busy slide and you can't read it. And I can't walk over and point at it, because if I walk that way, I fall off the stairs. So I'll tell you what's important on this slide. And this is one of the slides I presented to the Joint Appropriations Committee, and it shows our case numbers for the last 3 years. We pull them, we have a case database, and we pulled them out of that database. So if you look in the upper right-hand corner of the slide, even if you can't read the numbers, you can see that the right-hand bar is much taller than the one in the middle. And that's because from 2022 to 2023, our caseload went up about 9% from 4,396 cases in 1 year to 4,789. And if you look, the gray is 2023, the orange is 2022. So you can see that 2023 was a lot busier than 2022. And particularly juvenile cases doubled. And misdemeanor cases went up, and felony cases went up by almost 450. So 2023 was a busier year than 2022. But here's what it looked like when I walked into the office at the beginning of 2023. We had 4 lawyers, and then plus the DA, to handle thousands of cases. We had 1 lawyer in the felony division, just one lawyer in the juvenile division. And so needless to say, people were stressed, people were approaching burnout, and that meant I was at risk of losing what few staff members I had. And that caseload was just impossible to maintain. The judges were very supportive, but they also were impatient. They have a docket to maintain. And our judges, there are 4 district court judges who handle felonies and 3 circuit court judges who handle misdemeanors, but they have other things they have to do. If you have civil litigation with your neighbor, depending upon the amount, you may be in district court. If you're getting divorced, and I'm sorry if you are, you have to go to district court. So they needed to move their docket along. They needed us to be part of that process. So I worked, we had a journey through 2023, and we took that journey together. This is what happened in 2023 in the DA's office. First of all, by February, 1 month after I took office, we had 3 more lawyers. That was incredibly helpful because they were all in the felony division. We had some staff changes, and we implemented some new case assignments. And it's a long story, but we used to send all of our attorneys to court on scheduling day, so they all sat in each judge's courtroom. Well, that's a lot of time. And I hate, are there any judges in here? I don't see any hands being raised. It's also kind of boring. You know, I mean, if you only have 1 case and you have to sit there for 3 hours, you know, so we changed it so that we assigned, like, one of our lawyers has judges Campbell and Sharp. And another one of the lawyers has judges Frolicker and Rogers. That's at the felony level. And then we assigned other things to our misdemeanor lawyers. And they have the circuit court judges. So they have to go to court when their cases are in court, but they don't have to go to court when their fellow lawyers' cases. So it gave them much more time to work on their cases and be in the office and meet with victims and witnesses and law enforcement people and all the people they have to meet with. So that was simply more efficient and effective. We created, this may sound like not a very big thing, but sometimes the smallest things make the biggest changes. We distributed to law enforcement, the courts, and all our partners a 1-page sheet, just 1 page, and it had little thumbnail, you know, literally thumbnail size photos of each of us with about a 2-line biography. And it was amazing the positive response we got to that, because people said, we can put a face with a name. Well, and we delivered those bios with fresh homemade cookies. And so the fresh homemade cookies might be the reason we got the positive response, but I don't care what it took. You know, our staff member baked hundreds of cookies. I don't know how she did it. And they were, I can't tell you that they were all delicious because we didn't get to taste them. She would run in and then out the door they went to the police department. Were they pretty good, Chief? Yeah, see? And so we did that. We need to update it now. I'm not sure that that staff member is unfortunately no longer with us. She was commuting and the commute got on her nerves, particularly last winter's commute got on her nerves. So we might have to buy cookies. So if any of you have a good lead on a good place to buy cookies, let me know. But we're going to need to do that to update that. We recarpeted the office. And you're thinking, why is that important in a DA's office? Well, I want you to go on a journey with me. Just imagine if you walked in your office today and you walk down the hall and it's a gray carpet. A solid gray, not a nice gray with some pattern. It's just a solid gray, and it's rolled carpet. It's not carpet squares. And so over the 20 years it's been on the floor, it's gotten perhaps a little dirty. It's got those waves in it the carpet gets. And where it's not wavy, it's duct tape to the floor. And it's about the same color as the duct tape. And, you know, I've got staff members complaining of allergies and sneezing. And so I kid you not, this was the first day I was in office. And we are in a county facility, that's kind of required by state law, but we're a state agency. The building manager, whom I know from previous experiences working in a county office, he came to me and he said, Sylvia, we need to recarpet your office. We've been trying for several years. We've received no cooperation and your carpet is disgusting. And I said, oh, I can't disagree with that description. And I said, but I've been told, because that seemed to be the first thing everybody wanted to talk to me about. Carpet, 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 carpet. And, you know, and several people said, we've been told we have to move out for 3 months. You know, we have to go away. Well, where will we go? What will we do? And so I said to Jerry, I've been told we have to move out for 90 days. And he looked at me and goes, what? I said, so that's not true. No. And I said, so how long will it take? He said, first of all, we're using carpet squares. So he said, come in your office. So we went into my office and he said, here's what we do. We push all your furniture over there. And we go, pop, 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 pop. And then we move all the furniture back. And then they go, pop, 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 pop. Your office one day. Oh, and we put down the new edging and all that stuff. I said, okay, walk the floor with me. Tell me how long. We finished the walk. It goes 10 days. I said, for the whole office, and it'll only be one office at a time. He said, you bet. So I said, when can you start? He said, we have carpet in the basement. I said, start tomorrow. Now, you can imagine that perhaps there was this huge outcry, but there wasn't. It was the best team building exercise I could have ever devised. It really was. Everybody pitched in. We had the ugliest chair collection on the face of the earth. I kid you not. There were like 12 chairs in my office. And they were all ugly and uncomfortable. And so we just kept taking chairs out to the hallway of our office, and state surplus kept coming by and picking them up. And we had extra furniture, and people would come to me and say, I have these notebooks from a conference in 1999 that I didn't even go to because I wasn't here then. Do I have to keep it? No. And so, you know, we went through file cabinets, we went through bookcases. Almost everybody rearranged their office. And we have this lovely blue carpet. It's kind of not quite sky blue, it's a little darker. Carpet squares. We had a pizza party that I paid for the whole office, the carpet crew, and the county staff that helped move furniture. We had a pizza party on the last day. The carpet's beautiful, people's allergies are gone. And for months, we had people come in and visit. Whoa, look at that carpet. Man, that really looks good. And in fact, I need to recarpet part of my house, and I'm actually going to go to that business and say, can I have that crew? I mean, they were that good. And it was a team building exercise, and the office looked different. It felt different. And what a great way to say it's a new day. So, you know, keep that in mind. You need to do something, you can always recarpet. But it worked well. And I'm very, very, very glad we did this. I found the other day we've had some empty offices and we're just now filling them. And I'll talk about that in a minute. I found a couple more ugly chairs. And I mean like chairs that the munchkins wouldn't sit in because they're short and uncomfortable. I don't know who manufactured them, but we're getting rid of them. And then as of March 1st, 4 weeks from now, we will have our full complement of 10 lawyers for the first time in 6 years in the DA's office. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's not my doing. It's just that The right people showed up at the right time. I got some phone calls. Hey, I'm gonna refer him to you for an interview. Do you want to talk to him? Well, of course. And so we will have all the lawyers that we need. If we get any more, I'm about ready to run out of space, but what a nice problem to have. And I'm thinking there's always tents on the lawn. They'll be tough in the winter, but we'll deal with that. So, we're moving forward. Things are going well. Things still happen that I wish didn't, like I was in court yesterday, kind of apologizing to a judge for having a little goof up in a case. It wasn't my case, but it's my office. So I went to court and I told the judge, I'm sorry. Talk to the lawyer. We're not gonna let it happen again. And I apologize for the extent that we had a late filing in your court. And, it's really hard to yell at someone who says, I'm sorry. So I didn't get yelled at. I didn't sit down for about an hour after I got back to my office, but I didn't get yelled at, So you've had a survey going about crime and cases and stuff like that. So this chart, which is equally impossible to read, and again, I apologize, but I did want to include them because I didn't feel I could accept your free lunch unless I gave you some charts and graphs and statistics. It's kind of like a rule, isn't it? So what this shows is where our crime categories were as categorized by our database. Now, some of that's arbitrary, obviously. If we get a serious domestic violence, do we call it domestic violence, which is the blue pie chart upper right-hand corner, or do we call it a violent crime, which is the gray kind of down there? So this is how our crimes broke down. Driving was 19%. And drugs were 18%. And we have a lawyer who does nothing but drug crimes. He's called our HIDTA attorney, HIDTA. That stands for High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area, which guess what? By the federal government standards, Cheyenne is a high intensity drug trafficking area. What do you think makes us a HIDTA area? 2 interstates that intersect. And so, plus a railroad that comes through. And so we hadn't had a HIDTA lawyer in about 5 years. And so we have one now, and he has his own assistant, and he's in court every single solitary day. And these are both felonies and misdemeanors. Frankly, the bigger, more involved felonies, the US attorney expresses a great interest in. And so they go federal. And Rocky he's cross-designated, so he can go to federal court too. So just out of curiosity, where are we on time? Because I saw somebody yawning, so it's. What? Well, what does that tell me about tell me how many minutes I have? Oh, heck, plenty of time for those burning questions of yours. So I want to tell you one thing though that I find extremely disturbing. We may not have a lot of domestic violence cases, but the ones we have, by and large, are really serious. And the latest trend seems to be strangulation. We've had one case that ended in death. And the line between domestic violence, strangulation, and death is pretty thin. It's, does the victim die or not? Does the defendant stop strangling? And it's usually a him against a her. I don't know why that seems to be the preferred method of abusing your domestic partner, but we've seen a lot of those cases, and it worries me. I don't know how we address it as a society, but it's just disturbing. Why would you think that strangling your partner is the way to express your anger? Well, of course, I don't understand domestic violence anyway, but that's what we're seeing. I have another chart. I'm going to give you some disturbing stuff, and then we're going to end on a positive note, and then you're going to pepper me with those burning questions. These are the cases we had in 2023 that involved death. In case you're wondering, that's 12 victims. Now, you'll notice the word attempted is on some of those crimes, so they didn't die, which is nice. But 12 victims, 17 defendants. That's the way they're on the chart. If they're on the same line, they're co-defendants. So like on the top line, you see Johnny Munoz and Julian Espinoza were co-defendants. That's the shooting at Lincoln Park. Bailey Carbajal Clark was shot in the head at the end of April. And they were both charged. Johnny Munoz went to trial, was convicted of second-degree murder. Julian Espinoza then decided perhaps it was in his best interest to plead, so he did. So you can see that we have, in some cases, multiple defendants involved in one offense. These are extraordinary and disturbing numbers. I've practiced law, most of it criminal law, since 1980. Of course, I graduated from law school when I was 10, keep that in mind. And as a state public defender, which I was for 6 years, on average, I expected 10 to 15 homicides statewide. And I knew that because the state public defender ended up handling a lot of those cases. Well, you can see these are 17 cases in one county, 1 year. And I've been told, I haven't verified this statistic, but a legislator said to me that he understood statewide on average, Wyoming tended to have 5 homicides per 100,000 people. Well, how many people does Laramie County have? And how many homicides did we have last? Now, the deaths didn't all occur in 2023. A couple actually occurred before. But the cases didn't get tried till 2023 or filed. There's at least one case up there that I filed because my predecessor would not. And that individual pled guilty. So it's extraordinary. Again, it's one of those things, you always wonder about homicides. And you think, well, we got to fix the homicide problem. By and large, I don't know that many of these people will ever reoffend. Other categories of crimes, domestic violence, drugs, you get a lot of repeat offenders. So most of these folks either have already been sentenced to the penitentiary or will be. And so we'll have them off the streets for a while. But even a person on a life sentence, if the Board of Parole decides to commute it to a term of years, they can be released. It's possible. So I know we all tend to think we can imprison our way out of crime. We can't, because almost everybody eventually gets out. And I don't know, I'd like to think that our penal system is supposed to be based on principles of reformation and restoration. And I'm just enough of a cynic to wonder if sometimes people don't just become better criminals when they're in the pen. And I know our penitentiary system is overburdened, and I cannot imagine doing that for a living. So why do we do what we do? This is a picture of a small sticker that's on my desk calendar. And I only had enough of these for about one for maybe half the tables in here. So you may see this somewhere on your table. It's a small reflective sticker that says, "Be awesome." Let me tell you what this is. And it's why we do what we do. On October 12th of 2021, at 9 p.m., on Lincoln Way and Ridge, an intersection we all know, a man named Kyle Koziel drove eastbound at 70 to 80 miles an hour. His blood alcohol level was 0.264. Yeah, I could sense you all understand what that means. That's over 3 times the legal limit. Most of us, if we had a BAC that high, would be flat out on the floor or dead already, but he was driving with that. Was not his first time driving. He hit a vehicle driven by 28-year-old Vince Zakis. Vince died from multiple blunt force injuries. His car was pushed over 200 feet from the point of impact. Kyle Koziel's car traveled over 500 feet before it came to rest. They had to use the jaws of life to get Vince out of his car. Vince's favorite saying was, "Be awesome." He said it to his siblings, to his nieces, to his nephews, to his friends. And he was awesome in the way that all of us are. He toured with the troopers for 2 years. He had recently enlisted in the Marines. He was an accomplished actor. I was on stage with him a couple times. He was hilariously funny. And he left behind, he wasn't married, but he left behind siblings, his parents. Imagine, if you will, the knock at the door, the trip to the hospital, and then making arrangements for the funeral of your son, who will forever be 28 years old. Kathy, his mother, decided to keep his memory alive by printing those Be Awesome stickers, and she hands them out with abandon. In fact, you have the last few stickers she has left. I have the one on my desk calendar. And I keep that sticker to remind me that our job is to do justice. It's actually in the rules of professional conduct for prosecutors. The prosecutor's job is to do justice, not just to convict. And so Mr. Koziel pled guilty. He'd already been through treatment by the time he pled guilty. He got 7 to 14 years in the state pen. And Vince's family gave victim impact statements, which the judge said were the most eloquent he had ever heard. And so I keep that sticker, it's actually affixed to my desk calendar, so that every month when I change my desk calendar, it'll still be there to remind me that we do this work for the victims, and yes, for the defendants. We have to do justice for them too. That's our job. And for you, the members of the public, who want to know that this community, if crime occurs and we get that information from law enforcement, we're going to analyze it, and if we can, and if it's appropriate, we're going to prosecute. I've got damn good lawyers on my staff. I want them to make a career out of being prosecutors. It is an honorable way. Well, frankly, I think being a lawyer is honorable, and okay, we could have a disagreement about that. I know that. And I've been a public defender, and that's an honorable way to work too. But I really want to make being a prosecutor something that young lawyers coming out of law school want to do. That's not happening right now, but I want to make that happen. And I want us to have prosecutors who make a career out of making their communities a safer place. I can't thank you enough for allowing me to be here today. And now let me steel myself for burning questions. Here they come. Thank you. Oh, come on. I clearly couldn't have answered all your, do I see, I see a hand here, and were you pointing, Pete, at somebody over there? Well, we'll start with you because I saw your hand. Or,
Okay.
I don't know.
Tell me when to start.
Oh, so somebody is running around with a mic?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have one.
Oh,
I saw that 18% of the crime in 23 was drug related.
mm-hmm.
My question is are they going to be prosecuted? The previous few years, we've seen a terrible drop in the number of people that are in, I do drug testing for a living, so I see a very small amount of people coming through being drug tested by court order, where probably previous to 2019, we were seeing a whole lot more. And I'm wondering if that is going to change.
The numbers you saw are numbers of cases we're prosecuting. So that's the first thing I can say. If you saw that number up there, it's coming out of our database as a case that we have, okay? Now, in terms of why you're seeing fewer for drug testing, I don't know. We don't order the drug testing, the judges do. And so I can't speak to that. Don't know what the judges are, and they may be ordering them. I know there are several places in town that do drug testing, but yes, we're prosecuting those cases. Unless, of course, the feds take them. So.
Hi Sylvia, thank you. First, I just want to say that that presentation was really compelling and kind, and I was just sort of sucked into it. So thank you for that.
Oh, well, thank you.
I think that I have the sense, and it may be wrong, that the district attorney's office gets to sort of pick and choose what you prosecute. There are cases that come to the DA's desk that are then never prosecuted. And I was wondering if you can talk about how those decisions to prosecute are made and what your priorities are.
In a very broad sense, the answer is yes. But to say pick and choose implies a level of arbitrariness that's not there. Bill looks at dozens of probable cause affidavits and citations every day. And I don't know, Bill, we charge almost all of them, don't we? And so I think we are far less likely to decline prosecution than perhaps those who preceded me. I try to be really gentle about that. But I do want to just say, yeah, occasionally a case comes up that the folks involved, be they the victims or law enforcement or whoever, says, well, we want you to prosecute this, and something's missing. Every crime is composed of elements like first-degree murder, whoever purposely and with premeditated malice kills another human being. We gotta have all those, or we don't have first-degree murder. We might have second degree, we might have manslaughter, but we don't have first degree. And of course, if your loved one dies, you want the perpetrator punished to the fullest extent of the law, but it isn't always going to be first degree. So do we have discretion? Absolutely. It's an inherent component of the criminal justice system. Do we exercise it willy-nilly? Not at all. And I cannot think of a case in which we've either declined prosecution or chosen to dismiss after filing that Bill and I haven't discussed it at length, often bringing in our entire all of our attorneys to discuss it. It's declining prosecution sometimes isn't a difficult decision because the case just isn't there, or maybe it's not there yet. And we tell law enforcement, go find this or that or the other thing. Dismissing a case is really more difficult, but still, upon occasion, we do it. So I would like to disabuse the crowd of the notion that we exercise our discretion arbitrarily, because most cases get filed. You're welcome. Burning questions. Aha, there's one in the back.
Hi. I'm curious, it's kind of piggybacks on that, but have you or are you reviewing cases that the one before you chose not to prosecute to make a determination whether or not you can or will prosecute those moving forward?
Let me show you something. Oh, oops, I did not plant that question, but perhaps I should have. Can we go back to my PowerPoint? Or am I? Well, let me just answer the question. Yes. And one of the homicides that was on that chart was one that actually occurred a while back, and my predecessor said she wouldn't charge the perpetrator because, there we go. It's the 1, 2, 3, 5th one from the bottom, Roxanne Bocanegra. That wasn't charged originally. And law enforcement brought the case back when I came to office, and we looked at it and was like, oh yeah, we'll take that one. And we did, and it took a while. Eventually she pled guilty. So, it had been, prosecution had been declined under the so-called castle doctrine, defending your house, but I didn't think that somebody who walked into somebody else's house and stabbed them in their house was necessarily protecting their own place. I mean, it was more complicated than that, but so yeah, and that's not the only one that we've looked at again. Pardon, I didn't. Oh. It's got to be ongoing, because I don't know if do we have a number of, I don't think we know how many there are. And law enforcement has been great in touching base and saying, hey, could we look at this one again? And it's like, you bet, come on over, let's chat, or we'll come to your place. So they come up, we look at them. And there is no statute of limitations for crime, any crime in Wyoming. So please don't think you can rob a bank or off your spouse or anything like that, and then just wait a few years and get, you're home free. You're not. So there's no statute of limitations in Wyoming, so we can look at those crimes. And we will. I like a challenge. Anything else? Thank you.
You made it through the burning question.
I made it. I made it through burning questions. You guys need to practice your burning questions. Cause I really expected, some of those. Well, I have some in mind that I expected. You didn't ask them and I'm not going to tell you. That's all there is to it. But I appreciate how gracious you all were. It was fun. There's your clicker.
Perfect.
I'm gonna let you turn it off before I break it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the invitation.
One more